Hello folks and welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do it now and hit the bell icon to get instant updates. For today's project, I'll be using this yarn and it has all these beautiful shades in it. The yarn name is Ombre yarn and it's a spring mint of 200 grams. The recommended size for this is a 5mm, but I'll be using a 6mm crochet hook. Chunky. So let's start with our work with a slip knot. I'll be doing a foundation chain and a chain 1 together. So once you've got your knot ready on the hook, chain 2. Now insert the hook in the first chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through both. So this is your first single crochet and a chain at the back. So for the next chain, you go into the both loops at the back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So you've got your single crochets on top. I'm going to place a stitch marker on the first single crochet that I made so that I remember when I turn back on the same row. So insert the hook in the back. You can see I'm going under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through both loops. So repeat these stitches until you have it long enough for your project. The only thing to keep in mind is that the stitches should be in even number. You could do a traditional foundation chain and then come back with single crochets if you're working on a blanket. But for a sweater, I would recommend doing this foundation chain and single crochet together because for sweaters we usually work our way from waist up to the shoulders, so this gives a very subtle and sturdy look at the waist. For this sample, I've got an even number of stitches over here. For the next row, chain 1 and skip the first stitch, go into the next stitch and make a single crochet, and in the same stitch make a double crochet. Now skip the next stitch and in the following stitch make a single crochet and a double crochet. So we're making both these stitches in the same stitch. So again, skip one and make a single crochet and then a double crochet. So repeat this pattern until you reach the end of the row. Now we'll be working in the last chain where we have our stitch marker, so single crochet and a double crochet. Remove the stitch marker. To start the next row, chain 1 and turn your work. Now skipping the first stitch, work your single crochet and double crochet in the next stitch. So this is a very easy pattern and we'll be repeating this for the entire project. I'll be doing a few rows and I'll show you the look of the sample. So this is how the pattern looks like, and now using the same pattern I've crocheted a sweater and I'm going to show you the measurements and we'll attach the sleeves together. So here I've got the front and the back side of my sweater and you can see the change in the color, but I did count the number of rows I did with the darker shade, then the lighter, and then the green shade over here. And for the sleeves I left a little patch and then I made the neckline over here. So for the front side I've made a neckline, but for the back one we did not really make a neckline because it's going to set as it is, so we don't really need a shape at the back. So now I'm going to show you the measurements I took for this sweater. So for the baseline over here, I did a single crochet and a foundation chain together, and the measurement over here is nearly 14 inches. So you can always go a bit more or less according to the size you're making. And for the length, this is coming to 17 inches. Now if you want to see the size for the shoulders, it's nearly 6 inches and then the rest of my work. But since I started from bottom to up, so I made the body first and then went on to the sleeves. And for the sleeves over here, I skipped a few stitches and then I started off with a pattern, and by skipping the stitches I made slip stitches in those 3 or 4 stitches and then started off with a pattern. And on the other side I just left those stitches undone, so there were nearly these 4 stitches that were left undone and then the rest of the pattern. And for the shoulder straps over here, I've done a few of them and then left a space, and then I did the other side. I did cut off the yarn when I finished one side. For the shoulder measurements, again over here, this is 6 inches, and then for the neckline I made a 2 inches for the shoulder strap. So the next thing we have to do is join the sides together and the shoulder strap over here. So I've left a long tail when I finish one of the straps, and by using this tail I'm just going to weave both these edges together, and you can see the stitches are coming along together, so just count them and stitch them off. So this piece here is now the sleeve, and I've crocheted it from the cuff to the top of the arm, and the measurement for the cuff over here is 9 inches. And after every 2 rows I've increased in the pattern. So the pattern here is the same as for the rest of the sweater. The first row is the same, and in the second row when we start, instead of skipping the second stitch, make a single crochet and a double crochet in the second stitch to make an increase. So in this over here you can see this is the first one, this is the second one. I've made stitches in both of these, and then the rest of the row is the same. Then the third row is without an increase, and in the fourth row, at the end of the fourth row, I've made an increase. So in the last 2 stitches we make an increase, and then we repeat. So the next row after that is without an increase, and then the row after that it has an increase in it, and it's on the other side. So over here we've got these 2 increases. So every time we first make an increase in the starting, then the next row is the same without an increase, and in the next row after that we make an increase in the end of that row. So that's how the pattern is increased until I reach the length, or you can say in the width in this case, for the arm to be. And the top of the sleeve over here is, I'm measuring it 14 inches, and this should be the same as your armhole on your sweater, so that when we fit this together there's no gap or it doesn't get too snug. So now, keeping the right sides together, make sure whichever side you think is the right side. I've actually looked it up from the starting row where I've made my single crochet and the foundation chain, and then keeping the inner or the inner side, or you can say the right sides, together in the inside. Now I'm going to join the whole sleeve, and then I'll get back to you, and then we'll join the sleeve to the sweater. So here you can see that I've stitched the sleeve over here, and this is the inner side. So now, keeping the seam inside, we're going to turn the sleeve inside out, and then we're going to attach it to our main sweater. So this is the sweater and the armhole you can see, and over here my sweater is inside out. That means the right side or the good side is inside, and for the sleeve I'm going to do the opposite. So the seam over here, you can see it on the outside over here at the moment. I'm going to turn this in. So I've got the right side or the outer side, it is out now. So fold your sleeve so that the seam is nice and set. Now keeping the seam towards the lower end, I'm going to place this sleeve inside the sweater like this. So take it all the way inside until you have these sides together, and we're just going to sew these both sides like this, and make sure that you have the seams together. So I have this little tail over here. This is not enough for the entire sleeve, but I'm going to start from over here, go through one side and pick up stitch from both the sides and then sew them together. So here I've got the other sleeve done as well, and you can see the seam here, and it comes on the inside. Now turning the whole sweater inside out. Straighten it out, and you can see the sleeve is nicely set. And I'm going to sew in the loose ends and I'll come back. So here's the final look of the sweater. For the neckline, I've done a single crochet all around, and there were 2 rows of single crochets. That is optional. If you like this pattern as it is, that is also fine, but I did a little single crochet just to make a little neater edge. And for the sleeves and the border of the sweater, we've already made a edging, so we don't need an extra edging over here. So if you like my video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.